So you'll say, why am I telling you all this? Well, it's because I feel it will explain my later thoughts. So we fast forward now to Sunday, the 22nd of August, 2010, in Béal in County Cork, when Brian Lenihan, who was the then Minister for Finance, spoke at the annual commemoration of the life and legacy of Michael Collins. Brian Lenihan was greatly honoured to have received, in inverted commas in his own words, this quite unexpected offer from the Collins family and the commemoration committee, and he expressed so publicly on that occasion. I have spoken to Dermot Collins since then, who initiated the invitation to Brian, and he was quite emphatic that he and his committee were unanimous in wanting Brian Lenihan to have this privilege. And of course the privilege it was. They never had anybody from the enemy, in inverted commas, but Brian was very special, and I suppose they recognised that in him. I went to Béal on that occasion with two friends from Athlone, one of whom is here with me today, and I will always be glad that I did so, as I have the eternal memory of Brian standing clear and tall and confident, but humble, as he spoke at that hallowed spot. Now I'm going to quote directly now from his speech in Béal, because it has a bearing on what I'm going to say later. So if you'll excuse me, because the next words are not my words, they're his words, I want to have them absolutely accurate. The differences between Fianna Fáil, he said, and Fine Gael today are no longer defined by the Civil War, nor have they been for many years. It would be absurd if they were. This period of our history is gradually moving out of living memory. We ask and expect those in Northern Ireland to live and work together, despite the carnage and grief of a much more recent and much more protracted conflict. Nevertheless, keen competition between Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael remains, as that was he, as he was very aware every time he stood up at the Dáil, but the power of symbolism cannot be denied, all the more so as we move towards the centenaries of the Easter Rising and all that follows, and Dr. O'Callaghan was talking about that this morning. If today's commemoration, Brian said, can be seen as a further public act of historical reconciliation at one of Irish history's sacred places, then I will be proud to have played my part. Now, they were his words then, on that beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon in Béal. He went on to say in his talk that he had taken a particular interest in Michael Collins' work as Minister for Finance, which he was, between 1919 and 1922. And he said, in a meeting room in the Department of Finance, where I, that's he, had spent many hours over the last 2 years, hang pictures of all previous ministers. They are in sequence. Owen MacNeill's portrait is the first because he was actually the first to hold that office in the first Dáil, though he served for less than 10 weeks. The picture of Collins, Brian said, is placed second and regularly catches my eye. He was the youngest, and I dare say the best looking of them all. And he was, the hair and the quiff and all. But Brian would have given him a run for it, I would think. Brian went on to say there is no substantive connection between the economic and financial position we come from today and the totally different challenges faced by Collins and his contemporaries. But as I look at those pictures of my predecessors on the wall in my meeting room in the Department of Finance, I recognise that many of them, from Collins through to Ray McSharry, had in their time to deal with immense, if different, difficulties. I am comforted by what their stories tell me about the essential resilience of our country, of our political and administrative system, and above all, of the Irish people. That is why I am convinced, he said, that we have the ability to work through and to overcome our present difficulties. Great though the scale of the challenges may be, and devastating though the effects of the crisis have been on the lives of so many of our citizens. Brian's closing lines on that memorable day in Béal mBláth were, "The spirit of Collins is the spirit of our nation, and it must continue to inspire all of us in public life, irrespective of party or tradition."